Hey everyone, it's Mace1370. Today we're going to do a RTA showcase for the new ML5 Lionheart Cermia. Before we get into it though, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, please see the video description below for a link to my Discord, where you can find all the stats for my heroes. Okie doke, so Lionheart Cermia is the new ML5. She has a pretty cool looking design. I like her a lot. I don't know how good she is, but she definitely has like a cool coat and stuff, and the sword, with the fire is all pretty awesome. So I have her triple S because the game has given me infinite Cermias from pulling on Covenant summons, just like on the dailies. It's kind of crazy. I haven't even brought the original Cermia to 6 stars. I've never pulled on her banner. I just keep getting them. I don't find the RGB version particularly useful. So this is the build that I'm running on Lionheart Cermia right now. It is, I would say, okay, and I think it's probably better for like a slower bruiser team. And I'm kind of forcing her, into probably more aggressive teams. And I think if I'm going to keep doing that, I should probably speed her up. So at this build, she's at 195 speed, which is okay for turn cycling, but it's not fast enough for an aggressive team for her to get the turn. You'll see in a couple of the games I show what I'm talking about. Her defense is just over 2,000. I think ideally it would be at 2,100 or so. She seems to need a little bit more damage than what I have on her right now. 263 crit damage, which is, I think this is okay, but yeah, I think some more defense would be nice. I can show the pictures here. So there's a guy in my guild, Apex, had this idea of putting her on Lifesteal and Durandal, the artifact. I think it's a pretty decent idea, and I think it would work for a slower bruiser team. So the issues with her kit is that she has no inbuilt sustain and no inbuilt CR push, and I feel like bruisers kind of need one of those things to be relevant. If you think about the bruisers we've had and you think about what makes them oppressive or playable, half the time it's CR push and then half the time it's some sort of sustain, right? So, her passive here can trigger every 2 turns, and it gives her increased defense and effect resistance for whatever reason. Kind of irrelevant, but I guess it's buff clutter to, prevent things like Rimuru from maybe stealing your better buffs. So there's at least a little bit of benefit to it. Her skill 3 is where, most of her damage is going to come from. The idea with a build like this is you take her into a team that's going to be reliably countering you, and you'll get a lot of these, passive procs. In terms of this build, I think that you would probably take it on a slower team into, an enemy like Violet when you have a blue unit on your team, so you're going to be getting those guaranteed counterattacks. I think if I'm going to rebuild her and try her on aggressive teams, I'm going to swap her onto speed set and speed her up and I'd probably be willing to drop some health just for more defense and, damage essentially, and probably try to get her around 220 or 230 speed just so she takes a turn. And maybe that would be better. I'd probably put her on Symbol if that was the case. And that type of team I would utilize her on would be where I'm doing like a speedy opener with like Ran or Piera, and I'm going into a Violet, so I know she's going to get the proc, right? There's no RNG there. We can go ahead and take a look at a few games, and you'll see how she works. Okay, this first game is against Lunal. He has first pick. I have pre-ban Bellion. He has pre-ban Angel of Light Angelica. He takes a very standard first pick of Conqueror Lilius. Now, I think Lionheart Cermia is decent into Conqueror Lilius. The problem, though, if you take that route, is that you're playing into Conqueror Lilius. So I think much of the time your best bet is to either go, Cleavy/aggro and kind of play over the top so she doesn't get advantage, or to just ban her out. She's such a strong hero. But, that's kind of the case with units like Queric, too. So there he is, along with Rimuru. I've taken Apoc Ravi and Piera. I think these two are a pretty good response right now into Conqueror Lilius, since you're going to set up the ability to flex into Cleave, or you can flex into Standard from there. And then Piera has the ability to potentially deny the enemy Vigor, right? Which is a big part of Conqueror Lilius' kit. So I'm just taking Summertime Assyria here. I could also maybe consider taking Politis. I just decided to take Ran instead, and we're just going to try to blow him up. And then depending on what he takes here, we could take another DPS of some sort, but we have the openers now. So here's Violet. Part of what I don't like about taking these two together, the Rand and Piera, is that I feel like sometimes your team can kind of lack closing power, especially if you're taking them into someone like Cowrick. There's a decent chance that he just cleanses everything off, and then they don't feel as impactful as they should, right? So here's Violet and Rem. Not what I really want to see, just because they're, like full casino here. So I'm going to take Lionheart Cermia just because, we're trying to test her out. And if I can ban out the Rem, ban out the Rem. She's probably the most threatening of the units here. And then the idea is, we just hope to blow them up before Cowrick and Lilius can accrue much value. I was debating about getting rid of Rimuru because I didn't want my Lionheart Cermia to get one shot. But I don't think we can afford to let Rem in. She'll just wreak too much havoc. Because, I have like 2 AoE openers, essentially. There's a good chance that Rem would just solo my team if I left her in. So we have to basically take the gamble on Rimuru here. And this is something that, I've kind of noticed now that I've played Cermia for a few games. Rimuru is a big problem for her. She's a defense scaling hero, so she's going to naturally kind of have low HP because you have to invest so much into defense, which means it's really easy for him to one-shot her. He also CR boosts himself, so he's going to take a turn before she does. So just kind of like bad news for her all around. So you can see what I'm talking about here with like a blue opener, always proccing Violet, right? So that's a very consistent way to activate her. Now, hypothetically, if she was 230 speed or so, or even just 220 or something like that, she might be able to more reliably get a turn. Especially if, we land the restrict on Rimuru, which we did here. If we didn't, I think that would be a big problem. But we did at least, so we're able to use our skill 3 with Ran here. Kind of no reason, to wait. Because he's probably just going to die or something soon. So now Lilius takes a turn. My thought with using Ran was, I wanted immunity to prevent all the attack downs and redirect provokes and stuff like that. I'm in a tenuous enough spot as it is, and if that happened, I think I would just lose. So we kind of have to, unfortunately, just use Ran there, and now he's dead anyways. So here Cowrick can just cleanse everything. So Violet has attack buff and vigor. Even if he apples to get to his skill 3, he'll still have both of those buffs. So we do have defense buff on Cermia here. And Violet does about half health. So she can take a hit. We get to skill 3 here, which is pretty nice. Miss on Violet, which is unfortunate. It's important to note that the Durandal here did allow us to get a turn, because otherwise Rimuru would have just killed us, right? So the Violet going into Cermia there and Durandal helped boost us up. So, I think there is definitely merit to Durandal. The problem is if you miss with her, it just feels so bad. Like, we're taking her into Violet to punish a Violet, right? And she still has 55% miss chance on him. So I think for my purposes on this type of team, it would probably just be better if she's on a speed build with like Symbol of Unity. Here I intentionally go into the Violet to proc Cermia again, and get rid of that attack down. And now we get to skill 3 again. So this is kind of a nice showcase of her cycling like she is supposed to. This is kind of like the ideal basically skill 3 twice in a row. Unfortunately, both of those attacks missed on Violet. So I think we're, kind of SOL in that regard. So now Violet goes into Apoc Ravi and does like 24k damage, so that's a lot. And now we have to skill 3 into Violet because if we kill Cowrick, bringing back one of those blue openers isn't going to do anything. But if we kill Violet, we just win the game. But we missed, so that's unfortunate. So we can Soulburn skill 1 into Violet here. I think we just missed Violet too many times. Yeah, we hit here for like 9k, so that's not bad. If we'd hit one other time, I think we would have won. But Violet dodged too much, which happens, it's Violet, right? And Cermia dies, so that's game. Okay, let's take a look at another game. This time I think Cermia performs a little bit better. We have first pick, actually same pre-bans as last game, different opponent. We can take the Lilius here.
Your life ends
So Apoc Ravi coming out on the enemy side, and I assume it's a PR or something like that. Looks like it's a Ran. So Ran is a much more offensive hero. You could, I think, respond to this in a few different ways. You could immediately start picking counter cleave stuff. I think that's probably not great because I think they could flex just into standard and then you're in an awkward spot. But you could take something like Trozit fairly early just because he does have a cleanse, which is nice against Ran, and he's good in anti-cleave, right? So that's a possibility. You know, kind of give yourself options to flex in different directions rather than just like slamming Violet right now and assuming that they're going to pick this area. I feel if you do that, they just go into standard and then you have Violet against standard, which is not great. So I picked the Stenny here because again, Stenny will let me flex into standard. I could still cleave, right? Because I have 2 speed openers. I could take Summertime Asaria and like Ida next if I wanted. But now he picks the Violet, right? So I'm not going to do the Ida anymore probably. Unless he puts me in a spot where I can just ban out the Violet. And he takes a Rem, so I don't think these were great picks. He basically just picks Casino here into Stenny. You know, we can likely ban out the Rem, and then we're just dealing with Violet, and Stenny's pretty good into Violet. I guess this is an opportunity to take Cermia again, so we'll do that. And lastly, I probably want an immunity buffer and a cleanser, so it's probably going to be Ricky. You know, you could pick some other hero that fulfilled that role. You know, we want to be able to cleanse away Ran defense breaks, because I think we'd like to leave the Ran in. He doesn't have a big speed threat, so Ran is not really a threat to us, right, if we can just cleanse it off. So our options here, we can basically just outspeed the Ran, or we can cleanse him away with Ricky. So now I have to decide what to ban. Amelia could be a bit of a problem because I think my team is kind of low damage. I guess it's okay with Cermia. Amelia is also a problem because if I give him Ran and Amelia, then he can defense break and then he can like boost Rem or something like that into a bunch of defense breaks, hypothetically, and I think that would be bad news. So I'm debating about the Ran here. I feel like he's probably going to ban Ricky, but I think I ban Amelia. Yeah, I ban Amelia. I think that's the right choice. I was debating about A Ravi also, but I think we have Stenny for A Ravi, and we have Lilius to help it, you know, against that as well, like with the redirected provokes and stuff. So I think this is okay. I was honestly actually kind of afraid he was going to ban the Stenny, and I would just have Cermia. That was my fear. All right, well we can rip the skill 2. We outsped with both, which is nice. So we'll do this. He'll attack into Piera. This will proc our Cermia. And now I think we're just free to skill 3 here. Could skill 1 on the Ran, but I think putting up, you know, Aureus is decent. You know, if we stun the Ran, then our Piera is just kind of vulnerable, right? And we have Lilius, so we can redirect provoke him. So we'll put attack down. And now we just push Ran back and redirect provoke him. And it doesn't really matter if Apoc Ravi goes, right? She has defense break. We have a whole bunch of buffs on her team. Rem is pretty slow. That was an Alexa basket Ran. Very interesting. Alright, so he does like nothing because he's attack broken and we have defense buff and vigor. Violet is gonna apple, I guess. I guess you just rip your skill 3 here into either Lilius or Cermia.
Are you sure you can handle this?
Probably just wouldn't have appled then.
A lion never relents. No matter how small its
Okay, well we get to skill 3 here with Cermia. Alright, that's pretty good damage, right? That's okay. Granted, we have defense buff and vigor. So that always helps, right? And now we can soul burn and go chop chop. So I think this is what, you know, like how you're supposed to use Cermia, or how an ideal scenario. But the enemy team is very slow, right? So we were able to take advantage of that. Let me know what you think in the comments below.